Welcome to the TellUs Children's Talk TV show. Today is Tuesday, July 28th, 2020, and we are broadcasting live out of Atlanta, Georgia, the future of broadcasting through Status Network. Again, the future of broadcasting is Status Network, and we are broadcasting live in Atlanta, Georgia, broadcasting live on Roku, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, and a plethora of all other social media outlets. Again, welcome to the TellUs Children Talk It Out TV show. I am very, very excited because today is the first day that we are Zooming in our show. So it is really a pleasure and it's really a treat. I'm excited. I'm trying to get on board with all this great technology that we have today. Today, I have my co-host, Cam Maxwell.
Hello.
We have Emanuel Kilpatrick Jr., another co-host, and the other co-host is Noah Killingbeck. Say hi, Noah. Wave. Let them know it's you. And so today, we're going to be talking about 100 African Americans who shaped American history. And then Noah, you said you want to be talking about your business some today too as well, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your business, what we will be talking about. So let them know what we're going to be talking about.
I'm a Black-owned business owner. I started a production company. They do some films, and I have my own clothing as well.
Oh, really? Wait a minute. Hold it up so I can see it just for a quick moment. Let me see that. Okay, and what does that say on there?
Says Nick Productions, but I also have some Black Lives Matter stuff on my website. If you can go check that out on my Instagram at Noah_Killingbeck.
Okay, and how are they spelling Killingbeck?
Killingbeck.
Excellent, excellent. So give us that handle again. What is it?
Killingbeck.
Okay, great.
There's a website, and you can go check it out. We have Black Lives Matter mask as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing. I have a couple more projects coming up.
Okay.
With the manual too.
And Cameron. Oh, excellent. Well, we love that. Well, again, and Noah, excuse me, guys. I get you mixed up. Emanuel Jr., did you want to tell us something about what you're getting off into right now?
Well, I play basketball. I've been working out and playing basketball.
Okay.
And I have a business. It's called Coverage Elite Gaming. We are basically a gaming social media platform.
Mm-hmm.
And we do gaming tournaments.
Okay, excellent. Well, you guys are just busy. Cameron, what have you been off into?
I've been playing baseball and I've been reading a lot of books.
Okay, excellent. What are some of the books you've been reading?
I've been reading a little bit into this book here.
What book is that?
It's called 100 African Americans Who Shaped American History.
Yes.
And I've been also reading the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Oh, excellent. So what do you think about the book, The Autobiography of Malcolm X?
It's very detailed. I've only gotten to where he's in the part and where he's only in the 7th grade, which is he has a long life. So
keep looking at the camera.
Very long and detailed story.
Okay. But what do you find interesting about it so far that you've read?
Oh, how he used to be like a thief to get stuff for his family. He had like 8 other siblings with a sister and half sisters and half brothers and stuff.
Right.
So, and then he grew up. He was at
a foster home.
Yeah, sort of like a foster home.
Okay.
And people came to her mom and took the kid to a foster home.
Oh, excellent. Well, I love to hear that. Now, again, what I want to start us off with is, again, we've been having Cameron read several profound literature, which really pertains, to our Black culture. And one of those that he's been reading is the 100 African Americans Who Shaped American History. Let me just read this introduction for you guys. It's really, really excellent. It says, American history is full of the deeds of heroes and heroines, the great educators, the great entertainers, the great thinkers and inventors, the great athletes. What's exciting is that some of the most fascinating events of history are also events of African American history, and some of the most inspiring heroes of American history are African American heroes. African-American history follows the success of people under challenging circumstances through the unity of Black churches, the Black press, and educational institutions like Tuskegee Institute, Howard University, and Spelman College. African Americans taught one another how to excel. Mary McLeod Bethune started with a one-room schoolhouse built on a dumping ground. Can you imagine that? This one room has grown into the Bethune-Cookman College. Thurgood Marshall started as a student of lawyer Charles Houston and went on to win a Supreme Court case against segregation in schools. He was later elected to the Supreme Court himself. Men and women as glamorous as Harry Belafonte and Ruby Dee, Paul Robeson, and Bill Cosby did more than entertain us with their voices, their Broadway talent, and their movies. They brought us honest representations of African Americans that destroyed preconceived stereotypes. Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou, Lorraine Hansberry, Richard Wright, and James Baldwin told the stories that developed into a nationally recognized canon. W.E.B. Du Bois published Crisis Magazine. T. Thomas Fortune advocated militant resistance to racism. Booker T. Washington and Ida B. Wells Barnett used orientation and journalism to educate communities on violence and also on opportunity. Great scientists and inventors have flourished. George Washington Carver created peanut butter. Dr. Charles Drew discovered that preservable blood plasma could save the lives of thousands because it could be used in transfusions for all blood types. Dr. Daniel Hale Williams performed the first heart surgery. And again, these are all Black people. These are all Black people, all our African-American heritage, all of our ancestors. One of the athletic heroes who have made the US world famous is Jesse Owens. He won 4 gold medals at the 1936 Olympics in Berlin, Germany. Muhammad Ali became the world champion in boxing. William Rudolph overcame polio to win 3 gold medals in the 1960 Olympics. Courage led women like Harriet Tubman to risk their lives leading people north to freedom, and it led women like Fannie Lou Hamer to risk their lives in the struggle for voting rights. Men like Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. lost their lives in pursuit of civil rights and equality in America. They are 2 of our most valuable role models in the current struggle for an improved society. All 100 of these men and women keep the spirit fed with hope. So what do you gentlemen, you think about that?
I feel they were trying to make a difference in the change. That led to a very big impact.
Yes.
So I feel that they did what they could as young African Americans, and they did some great things and accomplished stuff. So I feel that why can't anybody else? Exactly.
And what do you feel about that, Noah and Cameron? I'm sorry, Emanuel. Emanuel Jr.
I'll go first. Cool. I think that it was really good that they risked their lives just for the future. Even as little as they did, it still did make a difference. Because you believe it or not, it was actually a whole lot worse than this. As bad as you may think it is right now, trust me, we were living a good life compared to them. And they still did more than us than we currently are doing. So I would say, if I could, I would say thank you to them right now, which I still can. So thank you to all those people who did to make a difference.
Exactly. Now, we've all heard about Sojourner Truth. She lived from 1797 till 1883. And I just want to read a little bit about her. Born in Hurley, New York, as Isabella Baumfried, Sojourner Truth was sold 4 times before she ran away permanently in 1826. She was a slave. Always passionate, Isabella went to New York City, where she worked and followed her strong religious impulses into various groups and cults, including one publicly disgraced for its questionable moral practices. But in 1843, Isabella went through a transition that left her forever the committed advocate of justice for all men and women. A voice from God told her, in her own words, to travel up and down the land, showing the people their sins and being a sign unto them. God told her to take the name Sojourner. And when she asked for a second name, she was told to take Truth. So she would be bringing the truth about slavery, religion, and women's suffrage to the American public for the rest of her life. Can you imagine that? Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Now, she was also the original freedom rider. In 1865, when Congress voted to end segregation, Truth was the first to force the subject with horse car drivers, okay? When they refused to stop for her, she went into the middle of the street, waving her arms and demanding, "I want a ride. I want a ride." When a crowd gathered to support her, the next car was forced to stop. Truth climbed on board and sat like stone, refusing to budge when the conductor tried to throw her off. Failing to remove her, he gave in, but Truth made sure he was later arrested and fired from his job. Once again, she had forced the point of desegregation into the lives of Americans. She continued roaming and teaching until the end of her life. At that time, she was still trying to purchase enough land in the new Western territories to support freed slaves ready to build new lives. How do you guys feel about that one?
I feel like I'll go first. I feel like all of them made a big difference, but the new generation is making a difference as well. I feel like they did an outstanding job because segregation was in the Jim Crow law was in, but we still have racist laws today.
Right. Okay.
I feel like that the older generation started it, and the new generation gonna finish it. So I feel that they gave us a very, very good start to something that we're gonna end because it's right.
Yes.
We should all be treated fairly.
Yes. Yes. No other race is better than the other, or no other better.
Question. Do all lives matter if Black lives matter? Don't matter? I mean, like, do all lives matter if Black lives don't matter?
Of course they all matter if Black lives matter. The point is,
but I'm saying, like, if they don't matter.
No. Lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Yeah, basically.
Exactly. That's a good point. Because again, what we're trying to say when we say Black lives matter, we're not saying all other lives don't matter. What we're saying is Black lives matter too. That's what we're saying. Because we haven't been treated fairly as a people, as a human, as a race. We've been treated like animals, really less than animals. You know, they have a whole lot of shelters. They put billions of dollars off into animal shelters now where they don't do that even for the humans of today. I'm sure if we were to take a poll and literally look at the figures, we would not see that if the same exact dollars are tunneled into animals that are tunneled into the shelters for humans. Do you want to say, Noah?
Yeah, I feel that if I'll say one of us were to get a job right now, we couldn't just walk up and say, "Can I apply for a job?" We would have to try harder than what a Caucasian would have to try, because it's like we would have to try harder than what they would to get a job. We can't just go up and say we would like to apply for the job. We have to actually ask and do something extra for people to actually notice us nowadays.
Right. We have to be more qualified. Whereas we may need a PhD, someone that's not Black and not a minority, they would hire them with less than a high school education. You're so right about that. Very good point. Our executive, our CEO, he said very good job and very good point, Noah. He loved your response on that. And what were you going to say, Cameron?
Oh, I forgot. I was too into it, even though we're saying.
Okay. Okay. Did you want to add to that, Emanuel Jr.?
Yeah, what Noah said was correct, basically. but I'll add some more. So basically, if we wanted to apply like for like a huge role in like an office position, we wouldn't get it because white people have more privilege than we do as blacks.
Now, another one I want to talk about that we all know about her because we've seen several movies about her, which is Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was from 1820 until 1913. Okay, here we go. Very interesting. Let me make sure I see all of these words because it's so profound and important. Harriet Tubman, perhaps the most inspirational of all abolitionists, was born into slavery in Dorchester County, Maryland, uneducated and enslaved. It was her strong religious zeal, including visions and voices, that convinced her she would one day be free. At 13, after suffering a severe blow to her head while trying to intervene between a fleeing slave and his master, Harriet began to think continually about freedom. She signed a free Black man named John Tubman. She married a free Black man named John Tubman, but he did not follow her when she finally escaped north at the age of 25. She followed the North Star as hundreds did after her to Philadelphia. She came with her fiery religious faith and a philosophy that would sustain her through unequaled acts of courage. There was one or two things I had a right to, liberty or death. If I could not have one, I would have the other, for no man should take me alive. I should fight for my liberty as long as my strength lasted, and when the time comes for me to go, the Lord would let them take me. In Philadelphia, Tubman heard about the Underground Railroad and became its most famous conductor.
Oh.
Wait, hold on. Go ahead, honey.
Did you know they put how to put this advice in the songs that they sung? Slaves put advice to the songs and to follow the northern stars to lead them up north so they could escape from abolitionists.
Yes, they put clues in their songs. Yes, they clues. They sure did. She did. Let them take me.
Yeah. Yeah, and they also like taking like to call them houses, the master houses. And they like removing them. They're moving a lot of historical things nowadays.
Right. You mean like they're trying to tear them down and demolish them?
Yes.
Well, some of them that they're doing that is because a lot of them were racist and represented the Confederate flag. And so we as a culture, and that's why they're saying Black Lives Matter, they're speaking up even about that to say, hey, that's offensive. We don't need those symbols being up as far as we are looking at them and idolizing them and speaking positively about them. Looking at those statues and monuments that represent those racists and those KKK members, they're demanding that those be taken down right now. And that I love. What were you going to say, Noah?
That time nothing. But like they went to the KKK Central because originally the KKK was taken down, but they rebuilt the KKK again. And then Black people went there ready to fight because it wasn't right. It wasn't right for the KKK to hang African Americans from trees or do things like that. So they went to the central of the problem, to the KKK headquarters with hundreds of Black people and guns. And they stood in front and they yelled.
Sorry to cut you off, but they also did that at the White House. There's thousands of them with guns in their hands, standing outside the White House.
Right.
Yeah. See, I don't approve of the violence, but I think it comes with how do you say this? What's going on? So it's to be expected.
Well, unfortunately,
I don't feel like it was violence. I feel like they was just trying to prove something.
Well, and unfortunately, sometimes violence is the only thing someone understands.
That is very true.
And that's unfortunate. But, think about it. That's like when your parents say, okay, Sally, I want you to clean your room and do your chores and make good grades and make sure you do everything right. Children normally don't listen to that. But
Oh
if
yeah, because there's consequences to your actions.
But if they scream and I'm gonna spank you, blah, 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 then they have the child's attention. You know, I've tried it with my children and my grandson to calmly discipline them, and it doesn't work. And they make me use a stern voice tonation. Or as you said, it comes with consequences when you don't do what you're supposed to be doing as a child to partake in the success and the continuation of the home. So therefore, I have to get a little more stern. And like even Cameron now, he's not on punishment, but I put him on more of a strict schedule, because when I gave him just free reign to do whatever he needs to be done and then to allocate and discipline himself, it didn't get done. So I literally have him on a schedule now, but what he needs to do from 9:30 to really 5 p.m. every day.
Oh,
Monday,
so
Monday,
like,
actually.
question. So like consequences to your actions, basically.
Exactly. Because again, when I gave him free reign to monitor himself and get his chores and goals and music lessons accomplished on his own, he wasn't doing it. So I had to put a schedule for him. But let me finish this read, you guys, because I want to read all of Harriet's. It's only one page, but we all know about Harriet Tubman, and I just want to beyond finish hers. Now, again, in Philadelphia, Tubman heard about the Underground Railroad and became the most famous conductor. Again, I'm going to repeat a little bit here. But first, though, she was already safe and employed in the North. She headed south and gathered up her sister, Mary Ann Boley, and Mary's two children, and led them through the secret channel of safe houses to Philadelphia. This was the first of 19 trips. Over her years on the railroad, using old spiritual songs to hide the code words, as you mentioned earlier, Noah, and begun to encourage tired travelers to continue, opium to steal crying babies, and prayers that called counsel from the sky, Harriet Tubman brought over 300 people to freedom. Her courage was so solid that Frederick Douglass wrote in a letter, "The difference between us is very marked. Most that I have done and suffered in the service of our cause has been in public. You, on the other hand, have labored in a private way. I have wrought in the day, you in the night. The midnight sky and the silent stars have been the witness of your devotion to freedom and of your heroism." Tubman's heroism continued far safer for the Emancipation Proclamation. She tended wounded soldiers during the Civil War, acted as a spy, and helped newly freed slaves adjust to their new citizenship. She was a scout and personal assistant to General Montgomery and founder of the Harriet Tubman Home for the Aged. She raised money for the education of former slaves and participated in the New England Anti-Slavery Society with Susan B. Anthony. She died in her own retirement home of pneumonia at the age of 93. Again, Harriet Tubman, born 1820 to 1913. What a woman. Now at this, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
My bad, sorry to cut you off. But she lived a long life.
Yes, but so productive and profound, which really helped enable Martin Luther King to do his job.
Yeah, she did all these things that supported the Black system, which is really good.
Which gave the others that came after her the courage to fight for our rights.
Gave them like a good lead, so they were like, "Oh, she did it, so why can't we?"
Exactly, exactly. So the importance of me wanting this show to be about 100 African Americans who shaped our American history is because we don't learn about this as much as we should in our educational public school systems. I don't want our forefathers to be forgotten. We have never been given the credit that we deserve as a culture and as a Black people. So again, we want to pay homage today to this show for 100 African Americans who shaped American history today, July 28, 2020. Go ahead, Noah.
Shouldn't we get paid our reparations for what our ancestors did?
Bingo. I want my 40 acres and a mule. I sure do. Because you know what? All of our ancestors built the economy free of charge, free labor. That's like your parents, if they were to go to work today and not get paid. That's exactly what happened. You were so right about that.
I feel that they worked their butts off until they died. So yeah. I feel that you should pay us some respect and at least give us what they earn so we can make good investments.
Exactly.
And become better people. Because I feel as if the homeless people you see today wouldn't be homeless if we had all that.
Yeah.
So, to help the culture and to help our beliefs.
Yes.
I feel that they can help us better as a culture and as African Americans in America in today's economy.
Let's see.
Also,
and go ahead, Junior.
Also, I feel like the military people, people who getting out the military, I feel like some of them who are homeless now, I feel like they deserve to have like a house and shelter.
You are so right. I've been saying that for years. Any military soldier, Black, white, Indian, Japanese, anyone, any American, and any soldier in any country, but we're Americans, so we're going to
fighting for their country. They're risking
I feel like if they serve the country, they should be treated.
Yeah, because they were serving this country, risking their life for this country. So if anything, they should get benefits for risking their lives for this country. They didn't have to do that, but they should.
Yeah, I mean, African Americans do get respect for being military. Because my dad was in the military. They do get good benefits, but like they wouldn't get as much as you say a Caucasian would. Let's just say that.
Oh, you know what? I can put my life on the line that if you would go into every professional institution today, every business, and if you were to compare the salaries of the different people doing the exact same job of different races and cultures,
Caucasian people would get more money.
Exactly. Well, let's just put it like this. All minorities would be making less for that same type of service that they are providing for that company.
And not to just say all Caucasians are like making more. That's not necessarily true based off the education and background.
Well, we know
we
know that's not true because there are some Caucasians and non-minorities that are just as loving and respectful of us and just as fair as we are.
I mean,
nothing never pertains to all. Nothing.
Some Caucasians even are undereducated and they still get the job just
because of the color of their skin. Let's just say it. Let's just call
it. Or they don't want to give it to us.
Well,
we have to earn.
That's because some of them, unfortunately, are still just as racist and want to keep us oppressed and down. You know, and it's very, very unfortunate. Now, let me read a little bit about Ida B. Wells Barnett. He was born 1862 and died in 1931. Now, Ida B. Wells, who dedicated her adult life to a successful anti-lynching campaign, was born a slave in Holly Springs, Mississippi. She grew up quickly after losing both her parents when she was only 16. Becoming the sole parent to her 5 siblings, she lied about her age and took a job as a teacher, supporting the entire family on $25 a month. She moved to Missouri in 1884, continued to teach, and began writing in the Living Way and the Memphis Free Speech newspapers. When she was fired from her teaching position for protesting the poor conditions at her school, Wells took what little savings she had and bought part ownership of the Free Speech. Her effective reporting was responsible for increasing subscriptions by 2,000 in the first 9 months. The more Wells learned, the more committed she became and the more enemies she created. When 3 Black men were taken from a Memphis jail and lynched, Wells reported that the men were not perpetrators of a crime, but successful young entrepreneurs who had begun to lure customers away from a white-owned business. Uncovering the names of the city officials who refused to condemn the lynching and those who admitted that they were in support of it, Wells caused a sensation. Her report was so damning that it convinced Black citizens to refuse to use the city's expensive new streetcars as a sign of unified protest, and this boycott nearly broke the streetcar company. Wells even urged them to leave the city, and over 2,000 people moved north from Memphis in search of a just and safe society. Ida Wells was now a celebrated journalist, and this was only the first of her investigations. She found that 1,217 African Americans had been lynched between the years of 1890 and 1900. Her famous red record detailed lynchings which occurred in 3 of those years, listing the victims and the official reasons for their murders. The red record soon became one of the most shocking documents of American history. Here was the proof that all lynchings were not related to crimes. Of the 728 lynchings she investigated, only 1/3 of the victims were accused of crimes. Most of these were not even tried in a court of law. Wells continued her investigation throughout her life, though she was repeatedly threatened and her newspaper office was burned to the ground. She continued to research case after case from her new home in New York. She also organized women's clubs and political meetings with the help of her husband, Ferdinand Lee Barnett, whom she married in 1895. She supported the need for a national group of African Americans and was an influential founder of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, in 1909. So what does that remind you of when you hear that she protested they not ride in those streetcars? What does that remind you of today, guys?
The right.
Black Lives Matter protests.
Well, and it also reminds you of, you know how they say blackout, where we don't spend any money and protest and not spend our money, see?
So that the businesses go down.
Exactly. See the impact it can have. What were you going to say, Noah?
Most businesses survive off of African American or Black people. So we stop going or we stop playing sports. Nobody's going to want to watch an all game or a store just based off of.
Exactly.
Because most of the sport. Sorry to cut you off.
I was gonna say, most high-end stores don't even support Black people. So I mean, they have very nice quality items, but at the end of the day, they don't support African Americans. Man, you could go now.
But all I was gonna say was, if Black people don't play sports, nobody really gonna watch it because not a lot of white people play basketball, football.
Yeah.
I don't know about baseball.
Right.
I know a lot of Black people do boxing as well.
Oh, they will really just have 2 to 3 sports, and that'd be about it.
Yeah, no sports.
Exactly. Now, I want to take a moment. So, Noah, we're going to give you the floor for a couple of minutes so you can elaborate more on the business that you have. Be sure and hold your shirt up totally clear so we can see it. Tell us about your business because you're an entrepreneur yourself.
Oh, yes. Like I said earlier, I had a few more projects coming up with Cameron that we need to finish discussing, and Emanuel too. And I think I'm for the what's it called? I'm for to get a area, a space, so I can have a headquarters.
Right.
So I'm for to get that. That's a accomplishment for me.
Okay, so you're going to have an actual location where your business is going to be established?
Yes.
Congratulations. I love that. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm still looking on a place to, because I don't want something that's, I'm going to share it with my mom. So.
Excellent.
That's
Cool.
That's real cool.
That is so awesome.
And we had a lot of products, even some for Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
So, yeah, we had shirts. We had shirts too.
Okay, let's see. Look, let me put my eyes back on.
Yeah, we had shirts.
Okay, so NHK Productions, and what does that stand for again?
Nick, because when you sounded out, it sounded like Nick. So.
Okay.
Nick Productions.
I've actually seen that around before somewhere.
So I'm making more stuff for Black Lives Matter because it is a big event. Not to really even profit off of it. It's just I'm gonna donate some of my money to Black Lives Matter because I think it's very important.
Man, I love that.
I think it's very important for us to know our history and where we came from.
Yes, sir.
And to know about ourselves before people, feel insecure about being Black. Yeah. I mean, it's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm proud of it. Because at the end of the day, you can say you did something they didn't do.
We can say we're proud that we build everything that we have. We're proud of the color of our skin.
Yeah, that's real.
That we are based on.
Exactly.
That's real right there.
Exactly. Now, Junior, you are an entrepreneur yourself, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay, I need you to elaborate on that for me.
Well,
You can't really give a lot of details.
Yeah, I can't really give a lot of details like that.
Lawyers.
Okay, that's okay. So so for future reference, then you'll tell us about that later. Then that's fine.
Yes,
Okay.
but I did want to say something though.
Oh, sure. What do you say, honey?
When Noah he was talking, he said it's like Black Lives Matter event. I wouldn't really call it an event. I'll call it like a movement.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that too.
Mm-hmm.
To explain myself, not to belittle it, but I feel like it's an event because we're going out protesting all around the United States to say we stand out.
Mm-hmm.
We've done something different.
Mm-hmm.
And we were here before you. So why shouldn't you let us have what we've earned? Like really earned.
Well, and also compensate us for what you haven't compensated our forefathers for. All the back payment that they owe us. Because let's be honest about it, all these businesses that they built, all of those millionaires wouldn't be millionaires today without the sweat of our forefathers creating those businesses and all those establishments. What do you want to say, Noah? Go ahead.
I also want to pay my respects to Abraham Lincoln because he stood up for Black people and not really any other president would, like the one on the $20 bill, which they're going to replace with Harriet.
Yes, excellent. And
he had many slaves.
Right now?
Well, actually, they had like these dollar bills. My grandma had like a dollar bill, like a $50 bill with Barack Obama on it.
Right.
And the other one had a $20 bill with Harriet Tubman on it. It was an exclusive one. But I call it a movement because you got different countries also going around protesting as well.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Now, we have quite a few watchers on here, and we see your mom is watching, Marquita Hudson Killingbeck, Antoinette Heavenly Eyes, hi, honey, and our CEO, our Mr. Jack Trey Wallace is watching. Shazar was watching. Lucy, we're gonna have to try and get them in next time, Shazar, but we have to be in on time, or we just missed the boat. But I also want to give you guys a little information on George Washington Carver.
Yes.
His lifespan was from 1864 to 1943.
80 years.
George Washington Carver was a scientist whose agricultural experiments at the Tuskegee Institute produced over 400 new products from soil-enhancing crops. He's best known for inventing byproducts of the peanut during his nearly 50 years at Washington University, where he was also responsible for training young African Americans to sustain themselves in the newly reformed United States. Born a slave in Diamond Grove, Missouri during the Civil War, Carver and his mother were reportedly kidnapped by the raiders in his youth. His mother disappeared, but a ransom was paid for Carver's return. After the emancipation, he stayed on at the Moses and Susan Carver plantation and learned to read and write before attending school in Neosho, Missouri, and later Minneapolis, Kansas. Carver's intense interest in botany led him to Highland University. He was accepted on the merits of his application, but rejected when he showed up for studies at the university, realized he was not quite.
That is just so messed up.
It is. At that time, the university did not accept African American students. Undaunted, Carver applied to Simpson College in Iowa in 1890 and was admitted. He transferred to Iowa State University in 1891 and graduated with honors in 1894. He joined the faculty after the completion of his master's degree and remained at Iowa State until he received an intriguing letter from Booker T. Washington. In it, Washington said, "I can't offer you money, position, or fame. I offer you in their place work, hard work, the task of bringing a people from degradation, poverty, and waste to full manhood." Carver responded, "I am coming." Carver went on to serve as director of the Agricultural Research of Experimental Station at Tuskegee Normal and Industrial Institute in Alabama. He was also an active pursuer of agricultural inventions that would replenish starved Southern lands suffering from single crop nutrient depletion after generations of tobacco and cotton production. It was Carver's discovery that legumes like peanuts could be planted for their replenishing nutrients and harvested for their superior oils, their richness in protein, and their 300 byproducts, including peanut butter, shampoo, coffee, and face powder. 1 year of peanuts followed by a year of cotton not only increased the variety of production, but increased the quality of the cotton crop. Individually inventing over 400 products made from the peanut and the sweet potato alone, Carver's discoveries taught all Southerners how to maximize their land. The South rose again as a pioneering agricultural sweet pot for the nation. In his own words, "It has always been the one great ideal of my life to be one of the greatest good to the greatest number of my people." George Washington Carver, 1864 to 1943.
I find it very upsetting that they accepted him and then rejected him just because he was black. I find that really upsetting.
Does that sound familiar today?
Yeah.
Yes, very.
And that's sad. Even today, almost 200 years later, well, 1864, well, 150, isn't that sad? Yeah. Even today. So that's why we have the protests. That's why we have our brave minority brothers and sisters speaking up. And then even those that are not minorities who have a heart, who have ethics, who have morals, who have love and fairness in their heart, they're marching and protesting as well. What do you want to say, Noah?
Also, I want to include that Caucasians gave us rights, and we use those rights as leverage to push for more rights. Therefore, we can be equalized citizens of the United States of America, as they say. And every day, millions of us say the Pledge of Allegiance. Yet, it's not really the Pledge of Allegiance. It feels that that's complete because we're not really included. We say it because we're proud to say it, but they don't see and understand that as well as we do.
Well, back in school, I didn't really. Back in third grade, we didn't have a pledge of allegiance. I'm saying it wrong, but you know what I mean.
The Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes. We didn't have that. We had African American Pledge of Allegiance. And I didn't really say the Pledge of Allegiance because I feel like it didn't really support Black people like that.
Well, the what do you call them? Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. They don't believe in honoring and acknowledging anything that man created. And the Pledge of Allegiance was created by man. So that's why they don't celebrate any holidays. And they don't acknowledge any type of allegiances towards any country or any flag. And that's why they say anything created by man to them is somewhat demonic and unfair. So they don't partake in that at all. And I can understand that. I can respect that. Because the Pledge of Allegiance, when it was written and how they're saying giving us all rights, those rights weren't equal. They're not equal today. That's why people are we've seen videos of where a cop will stop a white person and the white person is beating up on the cop and everything for 5 and 10 minutes. Whereas a Black man who's gotten stopped by a policeman is obeying the law, being obedient, and standing there, and they just start beating us. So even today, so again, I commend all of these young people and even some of those elderly who are getting out there, but majority, you millennials, I love you, and I thank you for speaking up and partaking in the Black Lives Matter movement. Go ahead, Noah.
I know the show ending, but like, some African Americans forget to like use their amendments. Because we have those, but it's not like that we don't take them serious. It's that some people forget to use those. And I feel that we should be entitled and proud of the fact that we even got those amendments. Yeah. Because it took a very long time to get those.
Well, and at least those who implemented the amendments had a good heart and good intentions. But look at all those people who are still trying to not utilize those, not trying to make sure that we're treated fairly even today. And that's why the Black Lives Matter movement is such a hot, burning sensation in our souls and minds and bodies today.
It makes us upset that we're not treated equally.
Exactly. And we're not saying make us superior. We want to be treated equal. Go ahead, Noah.
Did people know that the counties were named after the people who signed the Declaration of the Independence?
Exactly. And we're not saying no, we didn't know that. Tell us more about that. That is so interesting. Because again,
yeah, like they the people who wrote the Declaration of Independence, they didn't really have like names for like Georgia. So like they so the people who signed it, they basically got their own county, and like they basically got their own county. So like Hall, Button, Gwinnett, they signed it, and many others. And the people who signed the Declaration of Independence from Georgia are like counties.
Right.
Are the counties.
Right.
So
you gotta move your hand, Noah. I mean Manuel.
I wanted to say, son,
go ahead, honey.
It was a joke about that my dad had said. He was like, them baby boomers turning up.
Yes, I'm a baby boomer. And so what do you mean they're turning up? What do you mean?
They putting in work.
He said they putting in work, and like they not studying racist white people.
I understand. Okay, I'm gonna read one more, and then we get ready to close her out. I can't not say this one, but Rosa Parks. We all know about her. They don't have down the year she was born, but she passed in she was born, excuse me. She was born in 1913, but she's still living today when this was published. Isn't Rosa Parks still living?
No, she died in 2005.
Well, when was this book published? I was like, wait a minute. Okay. I thought she was still dead.
Died a long time ago.
But Rosa Parks is known for touching off the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955 that led to the extreme popularity of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the modern civil rights movement. She was born Rosa Macaulay in Tuskegee, Alabama, and attended school throughout the state, living with relatives until her mother's failing health begged her to return. In 1932, she married Raymond Parks and worked numerous odd jobs, joined the NAACP in the early 40s and acting as youth advisor and secretary for the Montgomery chapter. She later joined State President Edgar Nixon and served as his office manager. In December of 1955, when Rosa Parks, then a seamstress at a department store, refused to yield her seat on the bus to a white man as dictated by law. She was not the first woman to refuse to rise, but she was the first of impeccable reputation and upbringing. While Rosa Parks was jailed on December 1st, 1955, Edward Nixon's friend, Joanne Robinson, was up all night with other members of the Women's Political Council, making the first flyers that announced a one-day boycott of the Montgomery bus line on December 5th, the day Rosa Parks was going to trial after being released on bail. Since 75% of bus riders were African Americans, the financial repercussions were definitely damaging. Robinson told Nixon of the plan while the flyers went up in African American communities. When he told the NAACP that Rosa Parks, a mild, polite, well-dressed young secretary in Montgomery, was arrested for refusing to forfeit her seat, they gathered together at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Dexter Baptist Church and decided that this would be the case they would fight all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. The Montgomery Improvement Association, headed by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., not only approved of the boycott, but ensured that it lasted for 381 days, nearly crippling the bus line. On December 5th, Rosa Parks lost her court case, but won the supreme of Montgomery's African American populace. As bus after bus ran through town without any Black passengers, Parks' case was appealed. Finally, on December 20th, 1956, the Supreme Court upheld the United States District Court ruling that segregation on public buses was unconstitutional. Rosa Parks had begun what has been called the most important American movement since emancipation, but she was far from retiring. In 1957, Parks moved to Detroit, Michigan, and worked with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which annually sponsors the Rosa Parks Freedom Award. From 1957 to 1988, he was assisted U.S. Representative John Conyers, and in 1980, received the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Nonviolent Peace Prize. In 1987, she established the Rosa and Raymond Parks Institute for Self-Development, which assists teenagers, and in 1990 was joined by 3,000 government and community leaders in honor of her 75th birthday at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. Guys, this has been a great show again, and that's just a snippet of all our intelligent, well-rounded, ethical, fair freedom fighters. 100 African Americans who shaped our American history. Go ahead and make a quick point, Norm, because we're going to close it out.
I feel that you're wrong there. It's not a snippet. It's way less, because we've accomplished a lot of things over the years.
Well, what I'm saying is I just read a snippet today of the 100, and these are just 100. There were thousands.
That's what I was just about to say.
Oh, did you know that?
It's a lot of unknown.
Yes. A lot of unknown minorities that need to be acknowledged
And heard.
and paid attention to. Because again, without them, we wouldn't be here. And just think those of us who, my great-grandfather was a slave. I just think about that, how strong my forefathers were to have been slaves and endured the boat rides, just being brought over from Africa, and how strong they were. But then for hundreds of years, my other relatives as well that were descendants of them survived slavery, or I wouldn't be here today. My mother's maiden name was Bachman, Bauchman, Bachman. That's German. That's because my great-grandfather, slave owner, was German, and he favored him. He thought my great-grandfather was intelligent, so he sent him to college and allowed him to get a degree. And my grandfather lived on that plantation, but at the time, times were changing, and so the children at that time were not slaves, but their elderly relatives were. So guys, don't ever forget how thousands of African Americans have shaped our American history. We want to continue to fight. I don't know if this might be backwards a little bit, but that's okay. Again, 100 African Americans who shaped our American history. Cameron, Noah, Emanuel Jr., I thank you so much for partaking in this very important segment. We want to keep the fight going. You guys already are, by being young entrepreneurs, initiating your own business. And as you're saying, Noah, you're not doing it for the money. You said making the money is nice, so therefore you can put it back into your community. That's a continual freedom fighter right there. So I commend you guys for doing that. I commend you for speaking up for your rights. I commend you for realizing how being a Black person is nothing to be ashamed of. And when you see others, Blacks of our race, I don't want to say acting out, just try and help them to be a better person, okay? But also be very careful, because we are Black and we are a target and things can go wrong. But we're going to get up so we can get ready to dance it out, because, we dance it in. So again, always call and tune in to the side, TellUs Children's Talk It Out TV show. We broadcast every second and every fourth Tuesday from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time. I'm just waiting to hear that good music so we can keep on talking. But you guys have a good one, and thanks for tuning in. Status Network, the future of broadcasting. Broadcast out of Atlanta, Georgia. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Black